It's about 5:45 a.m. I'm going to let you look at a foggy Florence, Oregon this morning. Man, that is a thick fog. Look at that. Look at how thick that is. You can't even see half a block ahead of us. It's incredible. I want to drive across the bridge. God is great. God is great. God is great. If you have problems today, Jesus Christ is your solution. I have no other answer except Jesus. And today is Sunday, so people think about the Lord on Sundays. Okay, here we go across the bridge. Then I'm going to turn around and go the other way north. Now this fog is not coming from the river. This is an ocean fog. If it was a river fog, it'd just be down by the river. Look at that seagull. But because it covers the whole town, this is ocean weather is what I call it. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. You have to go one day at a time in life, especially in these last days. Now, you see how the fog gets a little thinner here? Because there's more trees right here, and the trees actually catch the fog and collect the water. People wonder what fog is for. It's not, God doesn't make fog just to make the lighthouse look cool, no. God made fog as a gentle way to water, the land, his forest, the desert, whatever. You can get fog in the desert too. But when it's this thick on the whole town, and you'll see it'll be this thick all the way to the lighthouse north. We're going to drive up there. You see, you're too busy in life trying to get things. Material possessions. You're not really enjoying the free things that God has made. Look how thick that is. People want to go as fast as they can. Like this guy right here. I'm doing 30 miles an hour, which is the speed limit. But you know, it's the 4th of July weekend, and well, I will say this 4th of July has been the busiest weekend I've ever seen in Florence, Oregon in 23 years that I've been here. And I worked in restaurants out here and a couple stores. So I know what I'm talking about. I know when it's the busiest of the busy. I've had a lot of people tell me this is literally the busiest 4th of July we've ever seen on the coast. And it was only 60 degrees. I'm going to stop and get some gas, Selena. Oh, Selena, gonna get some gasolina. The 24-hour station. The other gas stations aren't even open until 8 o'clock. Oh, no way. This guy locked his keys in his car over here. And he's trying to get into his car. He locked his keys in his car. That poor guy. Bummer. 15 minutes later, I was over there trying to help that guy open his car. He's got just a real small car, and the doors are really super well built and tight. There's like no... Gasoline is $3.97 here. It went down 2 pennies because 4th of July is over, see? Well, I told him to call a policeman that maybe they'll have a Slim Jim because they're going to charge $75 if the guy wants to come out and open it, a tow truck. I don't think that... He was only like 28 years old. I don't think he has $75. Let me give you some advice. At my age, I've locked my keys in my car once. But this was like 30 years ago, and it was a 1970s car, and you could actually bend the window like 2 inches and put a coat hanger in there and open it. This was before they had buttons. This guy had push button, you know? You hear that? So he's trying to push the button to open his car. I said a prayer for him. That's, I mean, not much you can do. Look at the fog up here. You can't even see the McDonald's. Look at that homeless guy waking up in the morning. That'd be horrible. I'm not kidding. Sleeping outside all night on the ground somewhere. Oh, it sounds romantic. You know, you hear a lot of outdoor guys. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, right. Dream on. It's a nightmare. I talked to a homeless guy once. This was several years ago out here. They're like 20 years actually, and this guy was... He was like the only homeless man here in sideways rain in the winter, living on the on a piece of sand out here north of town here. He was a nice guy. This was before any homeless services or anything. And he was telling me the worst part was he has to basically put a whole tarp over his head because in the middle of the night when he's trying to sleep, the raccoons come and jump on top of him. And it freaks him out. I was like, yeah, wow. Yeah, raccoons come, jump on top of him and freak him out. Can you imagine sleeping on the ground and 3 or 4 raccoons come and try to jump on top of you and start nibbling at you while you're sleeping? You see, this is life. This is the way the world is now. It's never going to change back. It's never going to be fixed. I'm up before McDonald's is open, before Burger King's open, and I've already seen like 4 homeless people. I've seen a kid who locked his keys in his car. I've seen people speeding through town like 45 miles an hour to get back to Eugene this morning so they can start going to work tomorrow on Monday morning. You know, when I was younger, you went to work 6 days a week. And then you rented an apartment. You honored your father and mother. You praised God every day. You went to church. You lived with your wife, your one wife. You worked Monday through Friday. You worked around your house on Saturday. And when 2 people did that, you always had like several hundred extra dollars a month to do things or save money. Now, you know, Fred Meyer and Safeway and Albertsons, I don't know if you know this, talking about money, And even all the way to Colorado, they signed all their new contracts that begin this year. The union contracts. And they're all getting $4.50 an hour raise within the next 3 years. But you got to be union. Otherwise, you just start the job at minimum wage and you have to put in you got to put in 10,000 hours to become union. And get the health insurance and all that. But all the union people here in 3 years are going to be making $23.50 an hour. So why am I bringing that up? Right now, they're making $20 an hour. Union, it's not that much money, $20 an hour. And you see how high the prices are, right? The food prices, grocery. So in 3 years from now, it's actually 3.5 years, every grocery store, including Walmart, will have to pay all their union people $23.50 an hour. So, are you putting 2 plus 2 together here? Are you ahead of me? Are you seeing what I'm talking about? If they have to pay most of their employees close to $29 an hour because they have to pay half the Social Security, they have to match your 401k, all this stuff. They have to pay part of your taxes and stuff. So if they have to do that, how much are groceries going to go up in 3.5 years? Look at how foggy it is. Whoa. How much is food going to rise in 3.5 years? It doesn't matter whether you work at a grocery store. The grocery business only makes 1%, 2%, or 3% profit. If they're lucky. So how much are they going to charge for groceries in 3.5 years? How much are they going to charge? Because they're going to have to pay all their employees almost $24 an hour, the union employees. I'm telling you, here in these last days before the rapture, before the 7-year tribulation, if you are a Christian, you believe those things, like the Bible teaches. There's only one way to make it. You have to be 100% debt-free, including your house, and that might mean selling your house and buying a smaller house. No credit card debt, no car payments, nothing. And then both of you work, and you have to learn to live on less than $35,000 a year. And you have to save at least 50% of one of your incomes. So if you made $35,000 after taxes, your wife makes $35,000, that's $70,000. You better be saving $20,000 a year. Look at that fog and sun coming over there. On Sutton Lake, S-U-T-T-O-N, Sutton Lake, look at that. You know, that's good trout fishing in there, Sutton Lake. It's a small lake, but they do got some good trout fishing. That's the only way you're going to survive 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. 2029, 2030. It's the only way you're going to survive it. Because of what I just told you. See, I just made a full circle to teach you something, if you're listening, I mean, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a minister or anything, you know, but I'm just telling you from experience, old man experience. Because I just told you all the wages in the United States in the next 5 years are going to rise close to $23 to $27, $28 an hour. Because most people make more than $20 an hour now. Grocery store union workers only make $20 an hour. It's hard to believe. It's only $800 a week if you work full time and never make a mistake. And it's only $650 after taxes. It's about $2,500 a month bring home after taxes, Social Security tax, your union dues, and your insurance premiums that they take out every week. You got to have that insurance. Health insurance. So yeah, that's what so in 4 years, now look, everybody's going to be making close to $24 an hour. That means you're low. So if the wages for the employees go up 20% in 4 years, because 24 divided by 4 is about 5 or 6. So if they go up close to 20%, you're going to have to, all groceries are going to go up 20% or 25% in 4 years. So whatever you're paying now for groceries is going to go up 25% in 4 years. Don't say I didn't warn you. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a business thinker. I told you straight up how it works and what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. And business, like corporations, they always think 5 years in advance. So they're already planning for this. Like every year, the employees in the contract are going to get another $1 an hour. But you have to understand, you say, well, that's a lot of money. Well, not really, because if you went and got like a job in Eugene working somewhere, they'd pay you $28 an hour straight up. But then you'd have all the expenses of living in a bigger city. You know, your rent would be $1,500. Your gas you'd have to spend twice as much gas to drive around. Look at the little lake out here, all the fog on it, right there. I thought it'd be totally foggy up here, but it is down on the beach. It's starting to dissipate. So I'm telling you in advance, your expenses for your personal household are going to rise 25% within 5 years. And that's, I'm being generous there. That was someone living in their, in a Jeep. Here's someone living in a van. Or 2 people sleeping in their car so they won't stay in a motel. You see there? When you go down to the California border, you cross Oregon and you go over, there are hundreds of people living in vehicles within the first 50 miles. There's someone in a van, they weren't living in it, they were looking, an SUV. Here's someone living in a Sprinter van. They probably pulled in here at 2 a.m. in the morning and they just sit there. Now, I would never park next to the interstate in the middle of the night and go to sleep. Because if a car goes off the road and slams into you, oh my goodness. So you have to figure out right now how to cut your expenses back 25% in the next 5 years, or increase your wages 25%, and then you won't be ahead, you'll just be breaking even like you are now. Now me, I went for the easy way. I just stopped by, I just cut back all my expenses. Let me show you what my breakfast is. 2 mandarin oranges, some cherry tomatoes, and a banana. That will last me until about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's about 250, 300 calories with those cherry tomatoes, that's it. And I'm literally living on about 900 calories a day. And I'm down, I lost 72 pounds. You can go to my playlist and see if you want to know more about it. I lost 72 pounds. Now, I realized all this back in 2006 is when the Lord started opening my eyes towards financial destruction of America. 2 years before the Great Recession started, and I made videos on YouTube channels that don't even exist anymore, talking about there's going to be a financial collapse, and everybody, I used to take comments back then, and everybody used to come and tell me for 2 years that I was a crazy freak and I had no idea what I was talking about, that the economy was doing awesome, and that silver was, I had people telling me silver was going to go to $120 an ounce, and gold was going to 10,000. And 18 months later, the entire housing market, the entire world started collapsing. Just like I made the videos. Because the Lord told me in prayer what was coming. It wasn't me. I have no credit. No credit. And then the Lord told me there's sea lion caves. The owners of Sea Lion Caves, they got to wake up every day and think about business and how to live on less than they make. There's someone sleeping in their car to get some shut-eye. So then the Lord told me about the pandemic, but I didn't know. He said something's coming. This was about 9 months before it happened. I have no idea what it was. I thought it was another financial thing. I had no idea it was a big virus worldwide. I had no idea. But then in the middle of the virus, he told me that's going to go away. And there's going to be food inflation now. And I made videos about that, and that's actually on my old channel, but you'll never find it. That's actually on my old channel, still up, and people told me I was crazy. Okay, well, it all happened. And now I'm telling you, in 4 years, inflation's going to rise 25% more. And I'm telling you how to avoid all the pain of what's coming. You need to become 100% debt-free. It's so beautiful out here. We just went through the tunnel, the lighthouse. I was talking too much. I forgot to honk. Here's someone living here, look. In a motorhome and a van. Now, a lot of people, you know, if it's just a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, a couple guys, you just pull over for the night. You know, we used to do that in my dad's, you know, old Chevy when I was 10 years old. You just pull over and sleep in the car for 5 hours, screaming and yelling at each other. I bet you all have experienced that. Your poor mother trying to sleep, you know, sitting up in a Chevy, you know, kicking your dad. It's uncomfortable. You know, back then, motels were only like $22, and they didn't want to spend the $22 for... I'll let this guy go by. They didn't want to spend, you know, they were trying to save $22. And today we spent $22 on lunch for one person. So they pull over because a motel's $120, you know, on the 4th of July. They're not gonna, that's a lot of money. I could take 3-day vacation for $120 because I'm a freak like that. You give me $1,000, I can, you know, I can disappear in the woods for 3 months. So I'm telling you, you have to become debt-free. You have to figure out how to live on $2,000 a month. No car payments. The bare basic, minimum basics you have to learn. Go down to one cell phone. Downsize and sell all your possessions and put the money in a savings account at the bank. So I looked up yesterday, how many Americans have more than $5,000 in the bank? And it came up with 3 different sources. 49% of Americans have less than $5,000, and 50% of those, so 25% or 24% of Americans have less than $1,000, and 26% have $1,000 to $5,000. And then the middle class has almost nothing until you get to $100,000 a year in income, and then those people have all the money. When you make $100,000 and above, they have all the money. They have the houses, the cars, the savings, the 401ks, the vacations, they have it all. But to make $100,000 a year, you either have to both be working full-time union, like $25 an hour, husband and wife, or you have to have a trade, like you're a dentist, a lawyer, a doctor, and it goes from there. It goes from $100,000 to $500,000 a year. Or you're well established in real estate, you know, whatever. You sell like 20 houses a year. You make $100,000 in fees. But that's only like 26% of all Americans. Here's a guy sleeping in his truck here. That's only 26% of Americans. I bet that guy doesn't make $100,000. I bet that guy hasn't seen $400 in this whole year. Only 26% of all Americans make more than $100,000. Here's my favorite bridge, Big Creek Bridge. This is the best place to find agates. From back there at Washburn all the way up to Big Creek and all the way to Rock Creek Campground. But you're gonna have to wear boots. You're gonna have to cross a couple streams here. Rock Creek Campground. And then anywhere, you know, you can find Bob Creek, anywhere there's gravel pits, and then Bob Creek, and then Strawberry Hill, and then Neptune. And then after Neptune, it's almost impossible to find agates. Rock Creek Campground right there. But you can only find agates in this area December, January, February, and that's about it. I got about 40 gallons of agates at my house in buckets, you know. But it took me 23 years to find them. So I figured out you can't just walk on the beach and start finding agates unless you're in the storm. It's turning all the rocks over. You got to really know what you're doing. It's very dangerous. January, February, March. You're not going to take a vacation on the beach during, you know, a storm in a raincoat with boots trying to find a rock on the ground. The best way to find gemstones is look up your area. Like if you go out east of Eugene up by Bend, they got thunder eggs and petrified wood. So I'd be looking for thunder eggs and petrified wood up there. If you go down southern Oregon, they got gold panning. Well, I can't remember. It's the state mineral. The something star, I can't remember the name of it. It's just this little tiny rock that's almost worthless. But if it has colors in it like red, pink, or blue, then it's worth like $100 for a small, tiny little one. But that's only if you know how to cut them like a jeweler. So I used to wake up for like 2 years with a coffee every day with cream and sugar. Now I just made a video. I haven't had coffee, well, I haven't had anything but water for 120 days as my only fluid. And then 98% of all my food has been vegetables, fruits, some oatmeal for carbohydrates, canned fish. I don't eat bread. I just put the fish like in a raw vegetable salad. Like canned tuna, canned salmon, canned albacore, whatever. Not albacore, mackerel. And then occasionally rice. Not very much. Now you can find agates right down here, but you got to be the first one. It's very rare. That place has become too popular. That's another thing. You have to be the first one at the beach. You have to be kind of a crazy psycho like me. I say that with a smile on my face. You have to, I mean, you have to get up at sunrise. You have to know when the tides are. I mean, you have to go out there because now there's like crazy tourists who don't know anything about it. You know, there's 20 of them on the beach and you can't find anything. I always think about the Native Americans living out here like 200 years ago. The whole entire beach must have just been solid, beautiful, different colored agates. And they didn't really collect them. That was just normal to them. They just saw all these beautiful rocks on the beach and that was just normal. They just left them down there. Now here's a good place, but you're never going to find agates here because now they built one of those really expensive campgrounds here. Like where you pay like $60 a night to camp in $1 million campground right here. You pull right in here. Stone-filled beach. Ten Mile Creek. So down there, there's huge, it's a great place to find agates, but like I said, so they have this campgrounds here now, and all these ladies living in $500,000 motorhomes go down there at sunrise and get all the agates before anyone else does. I know a lot about this. I've been doing it for 23 years. Let me show you this campground here. See, they got some real expensive stuff there. But look at the expensive motorhomes back here right there. Look at those, see? all the way back. That's one of the expensive campgrounds you find on the coast. I mean, if I was in an RV full time, I would never pay $60 or $70 a night to stay somewhere. Those are for people who got, you know, $1 million income. And then they got these, they rent these out. These things are probably $300 a night, I don't know. I was talking to a lady by Newport, and she was telling me they rented this little bed and breakfast $400 a night, but there were like, they put like 8 people in there. So it's not that much per person. But that's usually not how life works out. Usually 50% of the people don't have any money. There's someone sleeping in their car, see? And usually it's one guy, like the dad or the grandpa or something pays for everybody. Now back there, Big Creek is the #1 place to find agates. This is Bob Creek down here. This is the second best place to find agates on the Central Oregon coast. And look, there's already a guy down there sleeping in his van. You know what I suggest instead of agates? I've told people this a lot. Get into driftwood. Or buy a wood lathe and find driftwood pieces that you can wood lathe and make bowls or cups or wooden, you know, objects out of. Just these beautiful things. You can sell those for $200 or $300 each if you do it proper. I mean, after you're done polishing a nice size agate, you only get $10 or $15 out of it. But nobody touches the driftwood. Nobody wants the driftwood. You can make driftwood walking sticks. You can make driftwood pieces. You can make driftwood craft. And you could sell them on Etsy or eBay, but Etsy's a better place for crafts, I'm told. There's Strawberry Hill right there. The north side, you never find eggs. It's always on the south side. That's where all the gravel is. And you know, besides everything I just told you about agates, I don't even know how this conversation turned into agates. I'll probably make some agate videos later this month, but now you're on the agates, but it all depends on luck too. It all depends on what the ocean currents are doing on that particular beach. There's a guy here on a bicycle already at 6:30 in the morning. Check him out. Riding the entire Oregon coast on well, I don't think he's doing the whole coast. He's only got a few things with him. Now here's Neptune. You don't find hardly any agates here, but I will tell you this. That guy's really into his health. That guy is like proving he can ride 30 miles this morning. That's amazing to me. That's incredible. I couldn't do it. That guy's going to go 30 or 50 miles just smiling. That's incredible. So, Neptune's I found some of my biggest and most colorful agates at Neptune. But boy, oh boy, it's all about timing on Neptune. And it's right after a storm, and you got to be the first one. I saw this guy. He was looking for agates. This guy literally, I'm looking at the ground. I said, "You looking for agates, huh?" Yep. He says, "I can't find it." He's looking. He walked through this area, and I was looking around the same area because I was there first. And I looked over and I saw this agate as big as my fist. And it was as big as my fist before I lost 72 pounds. When I used to be fat. Or fatter. You gotta laugh about it. Now that's Cape Perpetua there. It's a big, huge white agate. Right. He walked right past it. There's people living in a Sprinter, And I said to the guy, hey, look down at your feet. There might be something. He's looking. This guy said he's been looking for agates for 10 years. You know, he's had experience. And he walks off. And I gave him 3 chances to find the agate. I wasn't going to pick it up and hand it to him because it was one of the biggest agates I've ever seen. And I wasn't going to do it. It's first come, first serve. And so I let him walk off about 80 foot away, and I reached down and picked it up. And no, I did not tell him that he walked on top of it almost. I didn't want him to feel bad, but that's how it works. You don't go to the beach to tell other people how to find agates. You're looking for them too. Now, I've been at the beach. I find small agates. I've given away at least 20 gallons of agates. I used to have some special agates. I gave them to Cape Perpetua Visitor Center like 15 years ago, and they displayed them for 5 years. And then they just took them to somewhere else, another place to display them, and I've never seen them. I mean, I gave them 4 gallons one year, so all the people that used to come in and get the agates during the summer, I'm the guy who gave all those agates to the place. And I had a couple displays in that place of these big, huge bones or rocks I found. And they displayed them for like 3 years for people to look at. And then, you know, you just give it to them, and then they send them somewhere else and circulate them around to the state parks and things. And, you know, I feel good about that. It doesn't bother me to give stuff away so everybody can enjoy it. One of the rocks I found, this big, huge, it was like a porous rock. It had holes all in it and everything. And they're bleach white. This thing was like 22, 24 inches long. And it was rare because you don't find them that big. And I took it to a rock show once. The guy explained to me, the guy offered me $250 for it. I said, no, I think I'm going to give it away to the Cape Perpetua. That's what I did. I mean, it was just a rock. It weighed like 18 pounds. I had to carry it like 3/4 of a mile off the beach. Okay, we're entering Agates, Oregon. Then I'll end this video. This is a long video. You can find tiny little agates in Agates. Do you know Agates, Oregon has 2 rock shops, but the one rock shop is the biggest rock shop on the Oregon coast. And it's in little tiny Agates, Oregon, right across from the grocery store next to the post office. The guy was featured in the magazine Rock and Gem for having the best rock shop on the entire West Coast. He was voted #1 by Rock and Gem magazine. I mean, that's quite a deal for only being in Agates, Oregon. I mean, he sells stuff in there for $10, $5, you know, $100, and he sells a lot of fossils, and he sells rocks in there for $20,000. But I like the one up in Lincoln City, the prehistoric store. I like that guy. It's a smaller shop, but he's a much bigger town, and I love going up there and talking to that guy like once every 6 months. And I'll buy something. Now, I want to show you the sunrise hitting the waves. I waved at a lady back there with her dog, and she refused to wave back. Okay, now look at that. You see, when the sun comes up in the east and the waves are coming in, you only get this a certain time of day. Like, it just really shines a light right on those white crests. And I wanted you to see it before I end this video. See, the sun's coming up over there on the east, and now I'm kind of pointing west somewhat. Hey, it's my favorite bench. And that's Yachats over there. I'll drive you through it. Look at how beautiful it is. I knew a guy who made a living taking this big, huge driftwood off the beach with like a crane. The ones that weigh like 1,000 pounds. And people would pay him like $1,500 to put it in their front yard. And he had like 2 or 3 guys working with him. But this was a long time ago. They don't actually allow that anymore. There's a lot of ways to make money out here. I know a guy who catches his limit of crab almost every day and sells the crab. And it doesn't make him a lot of money. It just pays for all his expenses when he goes. It's only about 56 degrees here. Now here's someone living in a van, see? Now this is one of the benefits of living in a van or a Sprinter or a motorhome. You get to wake up out here, see? Yeah, the guy's sitting back in that van. Now it's low tide right now. You see all the sand there? When in the winter, not up here, but down south where I was telling you, that there'd be all gravel there, and all the agates are hidden in the gravel bars. And you got to walk through the gravel and look for the agates. There's a lot of people come out here in the morning, a lot of older retired people like me, and this is their exercise routine for the day. Or they'll bring their dog out here with a tennis ball or something. I just think the state of Oregon is the best state in the entire United States for living, working, retiring, recreational, exercise. The people in Oregon, the overwhelming majority of people in Oregon are really nice people just minding their own business. They're just doing what they're doing. They're not going to bother you if you don't bother them. Now, all these have been built within 3 to 4 years. Before inflation took over the construction market and ruined it. Now this is the Yachats River. There is a river in Yachats. I'll show you right down there, see? And it goes quite a few miles back, and you can drive 20 miles back on that road and look at people living in houses and raising chickens and hobby farms and stuff like that. Oh yeah. But I'm saying, since we're talking about agates, you won't find a lot of agates in Yachats. You might find them down on the beach, little tiny specks of agates. And some people go down and they get those little like half-ounce jars, and they'll fill them with the little specks and some sand as like a souvenir that they've been to the Oregon coast. Another way to make money out here is photography. I'm really surprised how many people have quit photography. Or didn't take it up. Because you can get some amazing photos, and then you can have your own photography show, get them framed and sell them. You can go to a photography place online and just sell your photos for like $20 each, and that place will frame them for them and ship them to the customer, and you get the $20 fee. And they just get the money for the framing and stuff. I mean, it's like 10 different ways. You can go into businesses and say, I'd like to put some photos on your wall, because I was in the restaurant business. So we used to have, at this one place, the photos on the wall would always change, because we had a professional photographer that talked the owner into paying him $100 a month, which is not very much money. I mean, when you're making, $50,000 in a restaurant, you don't make that much per month, but you might make $8,000 or something in a big restaurant profit. So $100, so you pay $100, and this guy would come in once every 3 months and take down the photos and put new photos in their place. And he would rent out the photos, and he had like 25 different shops he would do this for. And he did it for dentist offices, restaurants, lawyer offices. It kind of spruces up. And he'd just walk in and say, hey, I'm going to change the and the secretaries, the waitresses, everybody, they're all like, oh, I wonder what he's going to put up. And it was always photos of the area. Like the ocean photos, like the tourists come, they want to see photos of that area. Here's a guy in a Sprinter van. A guy living in his truck with a bicycle, but he's living in the back of his truck. So I just give you a few ideas. You can make money doing this if you, in one area. Like if you don't want to get a job and you want to invest, say, I don't know, $3,000, and go out and get like 200 framed photos, bigger ones. Another thing, if you get like 5x7s of the area, you frame them, you can go to every flea market, but not flea market, what do they call them? I forget the name. Where they sell the food. On the weekends, you can rent a little booth there and just sell your photos. It's only 6:45 a.m. The store is not even open, so I'm just going to head north. So I'm going to end this video. Here's the rock store. It's called Stones and Bones. Right there, you can look it up. Sticks, Stones, and Bones. Look that up on, Google, and it'll tell everything about it. I hope that guy got his car unlocked. I'm still thinking about that poor kid. Well, like I say, when you get to be an old man like me at my age, I love this painting they put there. You always have a spare key in your side pocket every day. That car's for sale. I think I've seen that on Craigslist up here. Oh, what they're asking for used cars on Craigslist? 240,000 miles. A car, a truck, you can't even find a van anymore. A car, a truck, they want like $8,000. 240,000 miles. Me, I'm more of a Dollar General guy. Another business you can open for less than $1,000 right now is pressure washing. They got a lot of guys out here pressure washing, but only about 20% is what they need. There are thousands and thousands of houses that need to be pressure washed every month. And these guys charge like $350 to pressure wash your house, your sidewalks, your driveway. $350 for like 6 hours work. So if you showed up and did a better job for $250, you would have unlimited customers. And you can make $200 a day, $1,000 a week, and have every Saturday and Sunday off. All right, I'm going to end the video because this went way longer, and I spent most of the video talking about agates. That's fine. Whatever. God is great. I hope you have a nice Sunday.